Hi and a very good evening. So my name is Mohammad Suhaimi and my group will present for assignment 1. So starting with question 1, which is my question, the question basically asks us to make a simple calculator. So the first requirement is the user must input two even numbers, and then the second requirement, the user must input numbers which is between 10 until 30, and then the calculator will do an operation which is plus and minus, and then for these operations we use switch, and then we prompt the user for next calculation where we will do a loop here. And then for each requirements that are not met, we display an error for the wrong inputs. So we can see here, for example, the pseudocode algorithm. So we start and then we declare variable and then we prompt and get. And we can see here the prompt and get inside a do while loop. So if number 1 and number 2 are even numbers, we continue with the second requirement, which is if number 1 and number 2 is between 10 and 30 inclusive. So we prompt and get the operation, which is plus or minus. So we can see here if the switch case is plus, we display the addition of number 1 and number 2, and if it's minus, we display number 1 minus number 2. And then if it's a wrong input, we display wrong input. And if the numbers are not even numbers, we make an else for the if nested if, which is we display wrong input. And then we prompt and get the user either to continue or not, which is for the ask variable. And if the variable ask is equals to y, we continue with loop 3 until the user inputs another variable, which is not y, which is n. And then we end the loop. So this is the C++ program that I've made. So first we declare variable and also we include the IO stream and also include the CMath because we are using calculations here. And after declaring the variable, we start the program inside a do while loop because we prompt and get inside the do while loop. And we prompt and get two even numbers which is until 30. So the user will input two numbers and then we use an if. So first we use an if which tests if the number is an even number. So if the number is even number, we continue inside another nested if. So if the number is between 10 until 30, which is number 1 and number 2 between 10 until 30, so we prompt and get the operation which is P or M plus or minus. And then if the op which is the operation is P or M, we display the addition or either the subtraction using the switch operation here, which is for case P and case M. And if the input is not P or M, we make an else and we say we display right inputs. Please insert a proper input. And if the number is not between 10 and 30, so we also display a right input. Please insert number between 10 and 30. And if the number is not an even number, so we also display right inputs. Please insert an even number. And after finishing all these if nested ifs, so we prompt and get if they want to do another calculation. So if the ask variable here is equal to y variable, so we continue the loop, which is we say we do until the while the loop, which is the ask, is not equal to y, which is n, and then we exit the program. All right, so for example here, the user inputs 12 and 15. So we can see here 15 is not an even number. So it displays wrong input. Please insert an even number. And then I said I want to continue, so I entered Y. And then for the second part, I inputted 12 and 32. So 32 is more than 30. So it's wrong input. Please insert number between 10 until 30. And I said I want to continue, so I insert Y. And then this part I've made the correct one. So I've entered 12 and 34, which meets both requirements. And then we prompt and get the operation, which is I entered P. So we add both numbers and we get 36. We display the addition. And we prompt and get if they want to continue or not. So I said and, so it exits the loop, the do while loop. So the program finished. So next I'll pass question 2 to Syed.
Okay, for question 2, the question asks for the frequency of a digit inside the input number. So the frequency of 0 until 9, how many inside the number? Okay, goes to the next the program, Shami. Okay, as you can see, first we declare the n, which is number, I the frequency, j is a new variable for the looping system, and then the counter is how many I inside the number. Okay, first we prompt and get the frequency, prompt and get the input number from the user. And then we go into the first loop. For the first loop, we put I is equal to 0 because we want the frequency of 0 is what? So you go into the loop, the frequency of 0 is, first we put the counter as 0. So, and then we go into a new loop which is j is equal to n. For example, if I use input number 1, 2, 3, j will become 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3 is bigger than 0, right? So we find the remainder, which is 1, 2, 3 divided by 10. The remainder is 12.3 and the remainder is 3, right? So does 3 is equal to 1? If 3 does not equal to 1, then the counter will just remain as 0. If it's true, it will become 1. And then if 0, it goes back into the for j is equal to n, but this time the j will divide by 10. So the first j is 1 to 3, and then the second j is 12.3, but the j is an integer. It cannot be a decimal number. So 12.3 will just change into 12. So it goes into the next loop is that 12 remainder 10. 12 remainder 10 it will become 1.2, right? So the remainder is 2, but 2 is still not equal to 0, right? So the counter will remain 0, and then it goes again until we get 1 remainder by 10 we get 0 0.1. So the remainder is still 1, so it's wrong. So the in 1 to 3 in the end it will display 0 for the frequency. And then it goes into, after the first loop finished, it goes back into I is equal to 0, but this time I will be added with 1, so I is equal to 1. And then it will display the frequency of 1 is equal to what? So counter will reset again as 0, and for j is equal to 1 to 3, it goes again, and so the loop goes again until the remainder is equal to 1, which means 1 remainder by 10 will become 0.1. So the remainder will become 1. 1 is equal to I because this I is 1, right? And then there the counter will plus 1. And then after all the loop finish, it will display counter is equal to 1. And that's why you can see in the output sample, the frequency of 1 is equal to 1. And the same goes until all the number is done. Okay, that's all. And the next question goes to Syafiq.
Thank you, Syed. My name is Mohammad Syafiq bin Desa. I will present about the question 3. In this question, it asks us to display number of acres forested at the end of each year for a total of 20 years. In this question also, it mentioned about the reforestation equation, and we need to set the uncut area as 2,500 acres and the reforestation rate as 0.02. Next, for the algorithm, I use the flowchart. After start the program, we will declare the variable which are uncut rate and forested. Next, we will set the value of uncut and rate as given in the question. Then we initialize the value I, which refer to year as I. In the loop, we set the condition as year must equal or lower than 20. If the condition if the condition is true, it will execute the program, and if not, it will end the program. Next, for the program, we set the uncut rate and forested variable as data type. We set the uncut variable equal to 2,500, rate equal to 0.02. For the loop, we use the for loop block. For the for loop block, we initialize I, which refer to the year, as 1, and set the condition I must be lower or equal to 20, and the index update equal to I++. The reforestation equation is given by forested is equal to the uncut plus rate times uncut. Then we set the value for uncut variable equal to the new forested value. This loop will repeat all over again until I is more than 20. Next, for the output. As we can see from the output, first it will display the title, then it will display the number of acres forested at the end of each year from year 1 until year 20. That's all from me. Next, I will pass to Ahnaf to present for question 4.
Thank you, Syafiq. My name is Ahnaf and I will present question 4. So the requirement for question 4 is, first of all, we have to prompt and get the investment amount, the duration of the investment, and also the interest rate from the user. And then we will calculate the annual money increase for each year using a do while loop. And lastly, we will display the final investment amount to the user. The question also states that the use of for loop will make the program easier, but it is not compulsory, and thus I use a do while loop instead of a for loop. So for the algorithm, first of all is start, and then we will declare the variable money, interest, and year, which we will prompt and get from the user, and also the I, which is the counter for the loop. And then we will declare the value I is equals to 1 to initialize the value. Uh, Next, we will prompt and get the input, the money, year, and investment from the user. And then we will repeat the calculation of the money using the formula money equals to money plus the current money plus the money value of the current value times with the interest rate times 0.01 to change the percentage value to numerical numbers. And then we will increase the counter values by I++. This process will repeat until the I value is bigger than the number of years. After that, the program will display the year and the final money amount to the user. Moving on to the program. First of all, we will declare include hashtag include IOStream, and then using namespace std as the standard procedure, introduce main, and then we will declare the variable of money and interest as a float variable. For the integer variable, we will declare the year and also I which is the counter, and at the same time we will declare the I value is equals to 1. And then we will prompt and get the value of the investment amount, the investment duration, and also the interest rate from the user. And after that, we will move to the do while loop, which is the calculation for the money increment. This process will repeat while I is lesser than year. We uh, After that, after the I value reach the bigger number of the year, meaning that the current money value is in the latest is at the latest year, and then we will display the years of the years of the years of the investment duration and also the final amount of the money to the user, and then we will end the program. So that is all from us. Thank you and see you soon.